You're not going to believe this, but all of the follow home robberies, or most of them at the very least, in California, and these high profile robberies have involved gang members and people that the state of California let out on parole or probation. Shocker, right? We're going to be talking about a few instances today, one of which is relating to a previous video that I've covered before. This is a series of topics that we've talked about when it comes to follow home robberies. One of the events was related to the San Francisco robbery, where I talked about why I kind of stopped doing photography as a hobby in San Francisco, where a camera crew was raided for over $30,000 worth of equipment, I believe it was. We're also going to be talking about how the follow home robbery situation in LA has skyrocketed through the roof, involving numerous gangs. Before we get going, though, I do want to say thank you to everyone that supports this channel. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube is probably going to unsubscribe you at some point, but if you keep liking and commenting on the videos, that typically gets it to show up in your feed regardless of whether or not you are still subscribed. If you want to use any of the links down in the description, like the Premier Body Armor link to buy body armor for your koozies, also wearable body armor, backpack body armor, or Gorilla Mind for any supplement needs when it comes to the gym time. But let's get right into the video. So a couple days ago, or maybe a little bit over a week ago, we talked about how 4 people were involved in a robbery situation with a camera crew based out of Canada that was visiting San Francisco. This location is a very popular location for people to take photos. I've been there many times in my life. I made the choice to stop taking photos there and going into San Francisco for photography just because the level of crime in the areas that I was going to, unfortunately, were on the rise. This is just another instance of that happened to make the news. This is going to be a surprise to some of you, I'm sure. I don't know how to really get sarcasm across very good in camera format, because people are always like, bro, what do you mean by that? I'm like, I thought it was clear that it was sarcasm, so let's just be clear here. We are using a lot of sarcasm in these videos. 4 people were charged in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office for multiple robberies in the Bay Area, including one of a Canadian film crew last month, prosecutors announced. DeLeon Miller, Torian King, Teddy Williams were each charged with 4 counts of felony second-degree robbery for alleged offenses in San Francisco and Alameda County on March 25th and the 28th. 2 instances. The 3 allegedly robbed the film crew at about 5:15 at the Twin Peaks in San Francisco. The getaway driver is also being charged with second-degree felony robbery and has been arrested previously for robbery in San Francisco. Johnson, in his latest arrest, was charged with 3 counts of felony second-degree robbery. Now, they had this all on video, which is pretty convenient because I think they were able to get to the license plates in some way, or just when you have it on video, it pretty much, if you can track them down and you say, hey, look, this is you, bro, you fucking did it, and you have all the stuff. In this specific instance, they were able to track them down because of some of the tracking equipment that they had in their camera bags. So, note to self, if you're a photographer or if you're just a person in general, you can get those little tile tracker devices for like $25. I think Apple even has a similar device. Throw that in your bag, throw that with your camera gear, whatever it is. Maybe you can use that like they did in this instance to track down the gear and eventually actually track down these criminals. Now, you're going to be very surprised when I say that these people had prior records, and some of them were out on probation, some of them were out on parole, some of them were just out on bail. Now, Miller was allegedly on felony probation. Miller has also been charged with possession of ammunition by a prohibited person. Shocker, these people were able to acquire firearms when they were not legally able to. I wonder how that worked out. Now, you're probably going to be quick to say, ghost guns, right? Just for a record, just for stats, nationwide from 2016 to I think 2022 or maybe 2021, the ATF said that only something like 600 ghost guns were found in the commission of a violent murder or attempted murder. So likelihood of it being a ghost gun, low. Likelihood of it being a gun that he acquired through other illegal means or stole, probably pretty high. King was also charged with 2 counts of possession of a gun with a prior conviction. King was allegedly on parole when he was arrested. Williams was also charged with possession of a machine gun and possession of large capacity magazines on March 31st. I'm asking for a friend. Where are these people getting machine guns? Where are they getting them? It seems like criminals it's like they can't get away from machine guns. What is it? How are they getting a hold of them so easily? I'm honestly like surprised, because if it was a 3D printed machine gun, I'm sure they would have mentioned it. It's usually Glock switches, and I'm assuming that's what it was. But how are they getting a hold of them so easy? It seems like I think if I were to try, I think I would actually have a hard time tracking down a Glock switch without buying it on the internet like a fucking idiot. If you hear noises in the background, that is my 3D printer. I'm printing things that are all very legal to do. So, these people were able to come into possession of machine guns and high-capacity magazines in a state where high-capacity magazines are banned, in a country where you cannot just go out and buy a machine gun. You pretty much can't get a machine gun, generally. I know there's exceptions, but generally the average person is not going to get a machine gun, and you cannot get them legally in the state of California. So how is it that they're always able to do this? I'm honestly so surprised. It's almost like criminals don't care about the law. What's up with that? They don't care about the law? It's almost like these crimes only affect people that actually care about being a good person or being lawful, because they think that compliance with the law is the lawful and morally correct thing to do. Now, when we talk about the LA robbery situation, there was one in specific that kind of caught the attention very recently. A woman was chased down and run down in a vehicle. I'm not going to show this stuff, but I will leave links down in the pinned comment or in the description somewhere, because if I show you the actual footage of it, YouTube will bend me over the table and absolutely blast me. But we're talking about LA. Los Angeles County, Los Angeles in general, these kind of crimes have been up, just skyrocketing, absolutely blowing up. In this video that I saw, a woman was run down, chased down, and then held at gunpoint to have her watch stolen by gang members. Now, last time that I mentioned gangs, when the police said, something was gang related, someone started calling me racist. So I'm just going to clarify again. It is the LAPD calling these people gang members because they are in a gang. Okay? Now, the department counted 51 of these violent armed robberies in September and October, but I believe that this last 2-week period was the highest they've ever seen, an increase in 78% versus its peak in November of last year. Now, the phenomenon in which police say armed suspects follow victims from restaurants and shopping areas such as Melrose Avenue and the Jewelry District to rob them of jewelry, watches, or vehicles was almost unheard of before last year. According to Captain Jonathan Tippett, who leads the Follow Home Robbery Task Force created in November, I'm legitimately curious, I am curious, is it actually unheard of, or is it that the media and people like me, maybe we've just been talking about it more? I know for a fact that we can see upticks recently, but I wonder if this was truly a unheard of occurrence 10, 15 years ago, because when I've made videos like this before, people have commented saying, yo, I've been hearing about this since I was a kid. Gangs have been doing this forever. So I'm sure it is on the rise and absolutely blowing up, but was it really almost unheard of? In my 34 years in the LAPD, I have never seen this type of criminal behavior in such large groups coordinating attacks on unsuspecting citizens to take their property and/or vehicles. Now, the department counted 51 of these violent and armed robberies in September and October. The force, which contains 18 detectives, 11 investigators from Robbery Homicide Division, 4 from the Office of Operations, and 3 from the Detective Bureau, was created on November of last year. My question is, why did it take so long? It's almost like they're like, these things ain't that big of a deal, but I feel like we've been talking about this for a long time now. But I guess it's a big department. Maybe they were just handling it in their own individual sections, and this is just them specifically creating a task force for it. I guess the LAPD took a time away from being involved in sheriff gangs or whatever it is that they want to call those sorts of groups to actually do their job. It's unfortunate when they actually do their job, these criminals get let out anyway. So it's almost like, running on a treadmill. You're not really getting anywhere, because even if they are able to do their job, the people just get let out of jail repeatedly. And then up until very recently, it was impossible to get a CCW in LA. And even now, with Sheriff Alex Villanueva issuing CCW permits, it's taking upwards of 6-8 months. Some people reporting a year from the time that they applied to the time that they got their permit. I've seen some people recently say 6 months. I've had more people recently say 8-9 months. So if you're in LA and you want to get a CCW, do it now. There is going to be a new election. Who knows if Alex Villanueva is going to continue issuing them after he gets reelected? Who knows if someone that replaces him potentially would continue to issue permits? There is no better time than yesterday. The next best time is today. So go ahead, if you're in LA, apply for a CCW. Now, for those of you that are wondering, oh, what if you just don't follow the law and carry a gun anyway? Well, the criminals are going to do that anyway. There are believed to be a total of 17 gangs participating in these follow home robberies. These gangs are usually filled with people that can't legally own guns, probably didn't legally acquire the guns even if they can legally own guns, and are in possession of high-capacity magazines, machine guns, and ghost guns. So you kind of have to decide for yourself. Do you want to be outgunned, outmatched, and overwhelmed? That's for you to decide. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.